And we start with some breaking news we're picking up. Financier Yusuf Lakdawala has been brought dead to JJ Hospital. Yusuf Lakdawala, who was lodged in Arthur Road Jail, has been brought dead to JJ Hospital. You have the Bollywood financier Yusuf Lakdawala dead. Big breaking news we're tracking. Earlier on, close to 2 weeks back, we also saw how the Enforcement Directorate had opposed the bail plea on health grounds made by Yusuf Lakdawala in custody in connection with an alleged money laundering case. This is news that we're tracking here on Republic. Yasha is joining us with more details. Yasha, tell us what exactly happened.
So basically, from our sources, we found out that Yusuf Lakdawala, a Bollywood financier as well as builder, has been brought dead to JJ Hospital. Now let us understand that he had earlier as well, like you mentioned, filed a bail plea stating that his health is in keeping well, which was opposed by the Enforcement Directorate. As a result of which his bail was not granted. He was currently lodged at the Arthur Road Jail. What we also understand is he was being probed in a case which was filed earlier by the Mumbai Police's EOW offense. That is, EOW unit of Mumbai Police had filed a case against him, following which wherein he was arrested from the Ahmedabad airport. We had seen just a few months back, even the Enforcement Director had taken custody of his, which is when he was being probed in a similar case. Now this case that we are talking about dates back to the 1949 land of Khandala, which belonged to the writer Mulk Raj Anand. It was said that he had a criminal conspiracy and had done forgery.
Was investigating and had arrested him, but the ED was also probing on this entire criminal conspiracy and the forgery aspect, as a result of which he was arrested. After a brief interrogation by the Enforcement Directorate, he was sent to the judicial custody where he was currently, and which is when he was sent to judicial custody at the Arthur Road Jail. But right now, from the preliminary information that we've got, he was asking for a bail, which he did not receive, and has currently been brought just a few minutes back. He was brought to JJ Hospital, wherein he was declared dead. Yes.
All right, so that's the news we're tracking. Yusuf Lakdawala brought dead to JJ Hospital. He was lodged in Arthur Road Jail, was in judicial custody and was being probed for forgery and conspiracy, was being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate and the EWO wing of Mumbai Police. Yasha, any word we're picking up on the cause of his death? Because this also becomes important, the fact that he'd filed a bail application citing health reasons. So do we know more on that?
So what we understand is that as of now his health wasn't keeping well, but there's no clarity, say from the hospital sources or from his family for that matter, about what really happened over the last 1 to 2 days. We were constantly informed by his family that his health wasn't keeping well, but though his cause of death is not yet known, we'll be awaiting details from the hospital authorities about what really happened to him, which is what we understand, because while he was in the hospital, while he was in the judicial custody as well, it was said that he wasn't keeping well, and his family had constantly informed about it. So once, this is the preliminary information that we've got from some sources close to Yusuf Lakdawala, but once there's a clarity, we'll update on the same. Yes.
Absolutely. So we're waiting for more details to essentially come in on the same, but he was brought dead to JJ Hospital is what we're being told. Yasha is tracking that story very, very closely. Yasha, if you could take us through the sequence of events, if we look at this case very, very closely, the Enforcement Directorate arrested him close to end of May, if I'm not wrong, following which, of course, attempts were made by him and his council of lawyers that he gets out of jail. Now, he did cite a certain health issues, and is when he applied for bail application, which was turned down by the Enforcement Directorate. What more has been going on around since then?
So basically, he was arrested earlier by the Economic Offence Wing of Mumbai Police, as being informed, wherein it was said that he had criminal conspiracy as well as forgery charges against him. This pertains to the 1949 case of the land at Khandala, which belonged to the writer Mulk Raj Anand. It's also been said that this particular land in question was bought by this writer from the Nizam ruler, and as a result of this was particularly why he was arrested.
Mumbai police.
We reconnect with Yesha and pick up more details, but it is in 2019 when the Mumbai police registered a cheating and forgery case against Lakdawala for grabbing the land illegally in Khandala. There was a lookout notice also that was issued. The police also arrested him at the Ahmedabad airport while he was flying out to London for his treatment. So he was released on bail, but 2019 is when the first arrest took place. The Enforcement Directorate earlier on summoned him 4 times for the statement at their office in Balad Estate, but he refused to attend. The ED officials also visited his house and persuaded him to accompany them for the statement. So a lot of developments have been coming in. Yesha is back with us. Yes, Yesha.
So what we understand now, like I mentioned, that he was arrested by the Economic Offence Wing of Mumbai Police. This case pertained to the 1949 land of writer Mulkraj Anand. This land in question was at Khandala, and in that context, this land that we talk about that belongs to actor writer Mulkraj Anand was the land that he had acquired from the Nizam ruler. And in that context, when the Economic Offence Wing of Mumbai Police arrested him, it was clearly found out that when he was arrested, and on the basis of which the Enforcement Directorate also registered a case against him, and this case was where he was arrested in May, like you mentioned before, and which is on the basis of which he was sent to judicial custody by the Enforcement Directorate. The Enforcement Directorate had sought his custody in the same case. It was a case of criminal forgery, which is why he was in the custody. This case was being interrogated, and which is when he had sought for a bail application on the basis of his health. Yes.
All right, so we are picking up more and more information as far as this case is concerned. Yesha, let's quickly talk about the investigations that were underway. You know, this is suddenly a development that has taken place that no one saw coming. He was brought dead to JJ Hospital recently, but a lot of investigation that was being carried out essentially by the Enforcement Directorate was being looked at very, very carefully, because the ED said that, you know, they also searched his residence, also recovered incriminating evidence, documents, digital evidence that was recovered by the Enforcement Directorate, based on which they were going ahead with the investigations.
That's right. So what we've seen was that this case was closely being monitored by the Enforcement Directorate. The Enforcement Directorate had picked up this case from the Economic Offence Wing. Now, as we understand that Enforcement Directorate as a body can pick up cases once they've been registered with the other authorities, with other police authorities, and as a result of which this case was being closely monitored by the Enforcement Directorate. They had sought his custody for a limited brief period of time, following which they had sent him to judicial custody. But however, the investigation was still on, and as a result of which his bail application was opposed by the Enforcement Directorate, because they had sought more opinion and further investigation in this case particularly. And as a result of which, he was still in the judicial custody, and the Enforcement Directorate wanted to investigate him further in the case. But particularly now that we've understood that he's been brought dead to the hospital, we understand that there might be certain effect of it on the case as well. Yes.
All right, Yesha, we'll have to leave it at that. We'll come back to you when we pick up more details as information is awaited. For the moment, thank you for getting us that update.